What's up guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video, I want to talk to you about using if statements in Python. Now, if statements are a special structure in Python where we can help our programs make decisions. By using an if statement, I could execute certain code when certain conditions are true, and I could execute another code when other conditions are true. Basically, if statements allow programs to respond to the input they are given depending on the data we are using in the program. Our programs will be able to respond to certain data values and respond differently to different data values. Essentially, our programs are becoming a lot smarter, and if statements are things that we as human beings deal with every day. So as you go on through your day, you're dealing with if statements all the time. So I want to give you a few examples of if statements, and then I want to give you a brief introduction of some of the common if statements that you would encounter in everyday life. And then we can go ahead and I'll show you a really awesome example, and I'll also show you what if statements can do for us. So over here in my text editor, I just had this little text file, and in here I wrote a bunch of if statements that a lot of people would encounter on a day-to-day basis. So here on the first one, it says, I wake up, if I'm hungry, I eat breakfast. Let's break this down a little. Over here it says, if I'm hungry, and this is a condition. It's either true or it's false. If it's true, I'm gonna go ahead and eat breakfast, and if it's false, I'm going to skip whatever was here and move on. That's the basics of an if statement. We have a condition, and in this case, if I'm hungry, and whether that condition is true, then we can do the action. So we eat breakfast, otherwise we just skip it. And down here, we have another one. It says, I leave my house. If it's overcast, I bring an umbrella. Otherwise, I bring sunglasses. And this one's a little bit more complex than the one we just looked at. So on this one, we have our condition. It says if it's overcast. And if that condition is true, we're going to bring the umbrella. But in this case, if the condition is false, there is something else we are going to do. Unlike up here where the condition was false, we just moved on. But now if this condition is false, then we're going to go ahead and bring sunglasses. That's another example of an if statement. It's a little bit more complex. Finally, I have one more down here, and it's even more complex. It says, I'm at a restaurant. If I'm thirsty, I order water. So if this condition is true, we order a glass of water. But if this condition is false, then we're going to move on, and we're going to check another condition. I'm gonna say otherwise, if I want pasta, I order spaghetti and meatballs. This is another condition. If this condition is true, we get the spaghetti, and if it's not true, we're finally going to move down here. We will order the ice cream. So if all of these three if statements were valid if statements, they would get more and more complex as we go down the list. Hopefully that helps you wrap your head around what if statements are. So we're basically specifying conditions. If those conditions are true, we can do certain things, and if those conditions are false, we can do other things, or we can check other conditions. Alright, let's now head on over to our Python file, and we can actually start writing some actual Python. So in here, in my Python file, I want to create an if statement. I want to show you guys a basic if statement in this tutorial, and in the next tutorial, we're going to look at some more advanced if statements. What I want to do is create a Boolean variable. So I'm going to create a Boolean variable that's going to store whether or not it's a male. So it's going to be called a male, and I'm going to set it equal to true because I am a male. So we have this Boolean variable, right? And right now we have it set to true, and I can use an if statement to check what the value inside that variable is. And to check if it's true, we can do something. I can just type out if. I have to type out a condition, something that's going to be true or false. Like on the other page, we were specifying if I'm hungry or if it's overcast, but here we're going to check to see if it's a male. In other words, to see if that person is a male, remember it has to be reducible to a true or false value in our case. In our case, we're going to be using a Boolean because that's like the easiest thing you can use. So I said, if I specify my true or false condition, now I just want to type out a colon. Remember, the colon tells Python this is where the if statement ends. Now I'm going to move on to a new line. Anything that goes after this indentation is going to be in our if statement, and it's going to be executed when that condition is true. So I can put a print statement, and in here I can put you are a male. Now you'll see what happens when you run this program. It's going to go down here and it's going to print out you are a male. Now if I change this male to false, now when I run the program, all of a sudden it's not going to print out anything. It's going to be blank down here. That's because this condition was not true. We can use another keyword in Python called else, but I'll talk about that in the next video. But in the meantime, let's move on to another example. This time we're going to check if it's raining. Let me quickly remove this example. Okay. The first thing we're going to do is create a variable, and let's call it rain. We're going to set this variable to true because at the time of filming this video, it is raining on New Year's Eve. Then we're going to create an if statement to check if it's raining. I'm going to type out if rain is equal to true. Don't forget the colon. This tells Python that the if statement ends here. If you click enter, your text editor should automatically move on to the next line as well as indent the line. On this line, we're going to add our print statement. In this print statement, let's say don't forget your umbrella. Now when we hit the run button, it's going to print out don't forget your umbrella. But if rain was set to false, we have to use something else called the else function. But I'll talk about that in my next video. Stay tuned for that. And that concludes this video. If you have any questions, comment them down below. Also, if you have any constructive criticism, comment it below. Do consider leaving a like and subscribing. Turn on post notifications to be notified when I publish part 2 of this video. Until next time, thanks for watching. Peace.